First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who is here today to listen to us. We all have been waiting for this day to come for a long time now. And today, I will be talking about feminism. And not just as a concept or a movement, but as an evolving struggle that has taken different forms over the centuries. Feminism is not a single issue or a one-time fight. It is a wave that keeps pushing forward, demanding for justice and equality. Let's take a moment to travel back to the roots of modern feminism. Revolutionary France. During the French Revolution, Olympe de Gouges made a courageous and a bold stand. She wrote a counter-document to the founding declaration of the French Republic, titled as the Declaration of the Rights of Women and Female Citizen. In it, she posed a powerful question. Tell me, what gave you the sovereign right to oppress my sex? With this question, Olympe de Gouges laid the foundation for the first wave of feminism, highlighting that the new republic, despite its ideals of liberty and equality, still denied women fundamental rights. And around the same time, another remarkable woman, Marie Wollstonecraft, she was challenging societal norms. And in her seminal work, she wrote, "The male pursues and the female yields. This is the law of nature, and does not appear to be suspended or abrogated in favor of women. This physical superiority cannot be denied. It is a noble prerogative. But not content with this natural preeminence, man endeavored to still sink us lower, merely to render us alluring objects for a moment." With this powerful statement, Marie Wollstonecraft confronted a deeply ingrained belief that men were naturally superior to women. And she questioned why this supposed law of nature justified women's subordination, pushing for the recognition of women's intellectual and moral capabilities. So yes, we as feminists, we do accept that men have some physical advantages compared to women. And we do accept that fact. But the thing we do not accept is why our precious women should be put in a lower category than men. Fast forward to the women's suffrage movement in America. This marked a critical moment in history, where women not only demanded for recognition, but also a fundamental right to vote. Yet, the movement had its own struggles, balancing between advocating for women's rights and addressing intersectionality, which was largely overlooked. With time, feminism itself evolved. A new wave emerged, where it's not just focused on equality, but a deeper sense of liberation. This is when the debate between radical and liberal feminists took center stage. Radical feminists called for the complete dismantling of patriarchal systems, while liberal feminists, they pushed for equal rights within the existing structures. The second wave of feminism, however, often ignored issues of race, class, sexual orientation, and global differences. And this oversight led to the rise of intersectionality. And the third wave introduced us intersectionality, which is an essential understanding that race, class, and gender interconnect to shape women's lives differently. We can no longer afford single-issue feminism. Feminism must be diverse and inclusive. And now we are in the fourth wave, a wave of internet feminism, where activism thrives online. Social media has become both a battleground and a safe place, amplifying voices that were previously silenced. It is a more activist version of the third wave, pushing back against gender violence, and systematic inequalities, with hashtags and movements that cross borders. However, the fourth movement also has its downsides. The same platforms that we use to empower voices can foster call-out culture, where mistakes and differing viewpoints are often met with public shaming rather than a constructive dialogue. And this culture can create a fear of speaking out or lead to division within the movement. And now I want to talk about culture, because I think culture is really intertwined with the misconceptions about feminism. Especially in Middle Eastern culture, there's this thing where families value their sons more than their daughters. For example, they will let their sons go out at late at night or bring their girlfriends over, get involved in bad stuff, etc. But they would yell and punish their daughters if she ever tried to get a boyfriend, or even have male friends, or go out more than 2 times a week. This is a very common thing that happens in real life that we all know about. And this culture keeps going on without changing one bit, because people think if they change it, it would be a disrespect to their ancestors. But do you remember what we learned in history class? Well, if you don't, let me remind you some history. So in history class, we learned that we need to consider the circumstances according to its time. Because circumstances change over the years, over the centuries. And our ancestors, they created our culture step by step, with their given circumstances according to their time. So to me, culture is not a solid, concrete construct. No. It has a soul like every living being, absorbing echoes of the past while shaping the pulse of the future. And yes, this culture can be a very confusing topic, but it really is all about the feminism misconceptions, because people do not dare to modernize their culture. They just want to keep it as the traditional part. But we need to moderate it. We need to change it a little bit. I'm not saying that we need to change our culture completely. I'm saying that we need to make our culture more appropriate for a modern era. And so, yet in this journey, we must ask ourselves, who is feminism for? And who does it protect? We must not lose sight of the core purpose of feminism, which is to achieve justice for all. And as the reformists argue, true feminism can only be achieved with the constant deconstruction of cultural norms that limit women's freedom. Whether it's about the right to birth control, bodily autonomy, or gender disparities at work, feminism remains relevant because inequality persists. And to wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought. What is the end goal of feminism? Well, some say it's post-feminism, a stage where equality is fully achieved, making feminism obsolete. But until we reach that reality, feminism must continue to evolve, challenge, and grow. Let's ensure that feminism stays true to its essence, breaking down barriers, empowering voices, and advocating equality. Thank you.